Welcome to the Chicago Bears Podcast, a presentation of ESPN Chicago, Chicago's home for sports. Here's your host, Pat, the designer.
Bear down, Bears fans. Welcome into the Chicago Bears Podcast. This is the best Bears podcast you are going to get in the entire city, in the entire district, world, wherever you're at right now. We got Lance Briggs.
Hey.
We got Jason McKie.
Yes, sir.
And we got John Jurko.
Yes, county, township, wherever we're at, that's where we are.
We are at
school district, wherever we want to be, that's where we're at.
The Chicago Bears Podcast is officially live, boys. How you guys feeling, man? Are you excited about this? We're going to have so much Bears breakdown. We got the defensive side, the defensive side, the offensive side in the building. We're covering everything on this month.
Well, you got a little fullback in you. You look like you can play a little fullback. So we got two offensive guys now. So we're not outnumbered. We're not outnumbered.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Definitely not a receiver. Definitely not a receiver.
He might be an H-back.
I'll tell my football story one day on the podcast. It doesn't end with me with all of my limbs in socket.
It's all in-depth knowledge.
It's all in-depth knowledge, man.
I think it's great to have the Bears. I mean, for a long time, I've been here 22 years. This is the first time we've ever had an opportunity to get the Bears. So the fact that the Bears are on ESPN Radio 1000, that's where the excitement started to begin. And now, all the fun's going to start. All the fun's going to happen. The draft's coming up, and then we get the games during the year.
Yep.
And then we get the association with the Bears, which is fantastic. Now, being a former Packer,
Yeah.
I hope you fellas don't hold it
Yeah,
against me.
We want the knowledge, not the
timing is everything.
Yes,
Everything's
Bears, so
we've
you're
got
okay.
draft picks. We've got the quarterback.
I get to bring the outside view, though, the unbiased fans view.
Hey, boys, we want the knowledge, not the colors, right? That's the game.
Right, the green and gold, though. But I did grow up a Bears fan since I was a youth, growing up in beautiful Calumet City, Illinois. So that no one can ever take away from Johnny Handsome is I've been here forever.
That's true.
And I've been a Bears fan when Vince Evans and Bob Avellini were quarterbacking this
You dug
beautiful
in like an
franchise.
Alabama tick, baby.
Two more quarterbacks that couldn't get it done here in the city of Chicago, and a legacy of quarterbacks that couldn't get it done in the city of Chicago.
I believe we found the one that's going to change the game.
I hope so.
Let's build a baseline. Let's start there, boys, right? Let's build a baseline for the podcast because, right, when we're starting, we missed a lot of the offseason stuff that went down. Where the Chicago Bears are at right now. How do you feel like this season is going to go? How do you feel like the Chicago Bears are going to fare in the NFC North and record overall?
I think this is the most hopeful that the Bears team has been since 2018 season.
Yeah.
And I think even more hopeful now because they're building for the future. And they're doing it brick by brick.
Yeah.
And so, whatever success that they find this year, we're sitting on 2 first-round picks next year. We got picks coming up over the next 3 years, and there's going to be options there. So to me, the limit is just sky high. The hope is sky high right now.
Yeah, I'm optimistic the way we look on paper in terms of the moves that we made. Obviously, the game's not played on paper, it's played on the field. Absolutely. So a lot of work to be done. But right now is where things take off, the offseason. The guys returned yesterday for the offseason program. The development is key. Understanding the scheme, whether, each side of the ball makes the scheme simpler for the guys to go out there and execute it. This is where the wins happen. This is where the chemistry takes place. So I like what we've done on paper. A lot of work needs to be done. Obviously, we got the draft coming up. Add some more guys in this locker room that can help this team take the next step.
Well, we definitely need to add guys. So woefully thin on the defensive line. It was a defensive line that only had 9 sacks last year. Yep. The rest of the sacks coming from the linebacker and the safety position. The offensive line chain's only as strong as its weakest link. And I don't think you've addressed enough positions on the offensive line yet. That's why we have the draft. That's what we're looking forward to, getting some pieces in Kansas City. And the quarterback, still a work in progress, still has to improve. The decision is made on a 5th-year option at the end of next year. The improvement I saw from the beginning of the year to the end of the year with the quarterback leaves me a lot of hope that improvement's going to take place again, become comfortable with Lou Getz in the offense and getting some better pieces around him. I think the Bears have found their quarterback.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the improvement Jalen Hurts had with the Philadelphia Eagles is the improvement Justin Fields has with the Chicago Bears this year. Answer all questions. That way you can use your 2 first-round picks on what you need on this football team next year.
I think that's such an interesting basis of it, right? When you talk about Jalen Hurts, because realistically, we're not in Jalen Hurts last year territory yet.
Right.
Jalen Hurts last year was a phenomenal quarterback, but he also had top offensive line, top defensive line, linebacker.
He was surrounded by
quarterback. He was surrounded by greatness on that team, right? Yep. To me, we're in the year before that, where Jalen Hurts came in, had games where he looked like a world beater, had games where he looked like, okay, this might be the guy, but he's still got a lot of learning to do. I think that's where the Bears come in this season. For me, I'm looking at the offensive side, and I do want to ask y'all this because you brought up what Philly did. On the offensive end of the football, have the Bears done enough for Justin Fields this offseason? Because that is the question that we got to look at.
I think the biggest key is, right, we talk about, obviously, we want to put pieces around Fields to be successful. You need to bring in playmakers. But here's the thing, too. Here's the key that we're missing. This will be the second year he's in the same system.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's huge.
That's huge.
You know, the familiarity is going to be there. It's going to be a little easier for him. Obviously, the new guys coming in have to learn the system. We saw that with Claypool last year. Yep. I think he wasn't as successful because he had trouble learning the terminology or learning this offense or learning how he fit in this offense. But, you know, it remains the same. You know, Justin Fields being in this offense for the second year in a row, he's going to feel more comfortable. And now you're bringing the pieces around him on the perimeter. Yeah. Jurko mentioned it earlier. We need guys up front to protect him. We need guys up front. We know we can run the ball, but you got to be able to keep him upright so he can get the ball to those playmakers. But, you know, I'm optimistic because he is his second year in this system, and we see what Jalen Hurts did. He was in the same system.
They started doing something, you know, about 4 or 5 games into the season. They started running a quarterback called runs. Yep. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's one of the things that's been so successful for Josh Allen, for Jalen Hurts, and I think we probably went to the well a few times more than we should have.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's also because of the lack of the weapons that were outside and obviously the protection up front. But you know, you put those weapons around and you give them that protection. That's a nightmare for defenses. Yeah. Preparing for the quarterback called run and being able to having to worry about a quarterback that can effectively throw to his receivers, and he has dangerous guys. You have effective running backs as well. That's the stuff that defenses that pains us. You know what I mean, going into the week, we have to deal with everything.
Yeah.
Being a running quarterback kind of used to have a negative connotation to it. I think that's gone.
It has to be.
I think you've got to have the ability to run. And I'm going to give you the perfect scenario. They don't have a lot of planned runs for Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. But Mahomes' mobility and his ability to run helped him in the Super Bowl when he had that key gain where he brought it down to the 13-yard line, and it was like a 30-yard gain. It's in essence what won the Super Bowl for those guys. He got out, got away from it, saw man coverage, and just ran.
Right.
Okay, so you still have to have the ability to run. Okay, you've got to have it. But if there's a slight transference of having to rely on Justin Fields to run and letting the running backs get a little bit more action, the ability to run and to get out of trouble is always going to be there for the quarterback, and it's always necessary. Even Steve Young had that ability to get out of trouble.
Right.
You've got to have that. But the called plays, boy, I'd rather see my running backs take the hits a lot of times.
Absolutely.
I'm happy our quarterback has the ability to get out and get moving and get positive yardage.
Can we say, though, that, right, Justin's in a situation now where Joe Burrow is in, right, where, hey, listen, I get that, right, we don't have the offensive line that's perfect for you in place. You still got to go out there and make plays. Josh Allen was in that situation. Hurts kind of was in that situation last year. They improved upon that, or 2 years ago. They improved upon that, right, where, you don't have the perfect scenario set up now. But guess what? You got possibly 2 to 3 guys that can catch the ball now. You add in Deontay Foreman out of the backfield, who's a good pass catcher as well, right? Like, you've got weapons now. You got to use your legs a little bit, but you still got to make plays.
Yeah, you want him to make plays, right? But it's the coordinator's job to have him make plays within his skill set.
Yes.
You don't want him to go out there and throw the ball 50 times a game because I don't think that is his makeup right now. Right. You want to design a passing game or a scheme where he's comfortable with, right? Situations to where you can get the ball out of his hand quickly to make him comfortable, get his confidence up, and then you take those shots downfield. Or, the outside zone scheme that they're running, you use that in terms of establishing the play action or the boot off the outside zone scheme that they run. But you have to do things that's going to make him comfortable and things that fit his skill set. If not, you're setting him up for failure.
I don't think you ask him anything right now. You know, this is the off
Year
season,
3?
and you're not done doing what you intended to do for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? Moving into this year. You know, before we ask him, hey, we want you to throw the ball more, we want you to do this more, do that more. Show me I want to show you what we're going to do to protect you. You know, maybe we're going to add some more weapons. Maybe we're going to do this. We're going to add a tight end. Maybe we're going to do this. You know, there's a few more things that we want to do. You know, we're going to get a few tackles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're going to compete, and we're going to build depth in our offensive line. You know, so if something happens, we know that we can plug somebody else in. But I think it's too early to say, we want you to do this now when we haven't added all the pieces.
Well, you have to ask him what he likes. What do you like?
Right.
You know, because this is offense. It's his offense. What do you like, Justin?
But I think you have what you
say
have.
Ohio State guys.
Right.
You have what you have, though, right? Like,
well, we'll find out here.
Yeah.
We're going to have another, 8, 9 picks.
Yeah.
Might be able to turn that in a couple of more picks if we trade down. So we'll find out what he ends up getting, you know, what you're going to have. That you're making the players better around him, but he's going to be a quarterback you hope that's going to be able to make the players better, too.
Yes.
Great quarterbacks
And
make
that's what I'm
the
saying.
rest of the guys better. You know, dare I say, and I bring up Mahomes, but because Mahomes is the easiest example to bring up, they lose Tyreek Hill. It didn't seem to matter.
Right.
They brought guys in, they put them in the offense, and they allowed them to be able to flourish within their offense. Yeah. Hopefully that's where we're getting to. We're not there yet. Yeah. Hopefully that's where we're getting to.
But when I'm looking at it, right, like, and not to say it's on Justin now. I agree with you, right? Like, we have what we have. I don't know if a rookie offensive tackle is going to make a huge difference for him this season. There's going to be a learning curve.
Development.
There's going to be development, right? But if Justin's going to be that guy, right, to me, the guys have been the guys that have been able to make the bad situation work. I've seen Pat Mahomes go to a Super Bowl with no tackles.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah,
it's insane to me.
Bad offensive line.
Bad offensive line play, right? I've
Guys
seen
getting injured everywhere.
I've seen Joe Burrow make it to a Super Bowl, same situation where, and I think that's kind of the situation we're in, where, right, like Nick Foles goes to the Super Bowl, he's got the best offensive line in the world in front of him. He's able to make all these throws because he's got the time.
And he's a wildcat.
And Justin's not going to have that opportunity, but I'm seeing guys in his age range do that.
Yeah.
The elite teams in this league, they have elite quarterback play, and those elite quarterbacks are multipliers, like Jurko was saying, right?
They make
the great ones, they make everybody around them better, right? You talked about Nick Foles, right? Wasn't an elite quarterback? Sorry, Briggs. No, he wasn't, but he had elite leadership. I'll give him that. He had elite leadership.
He was Super Bowl elite.
He was elite in the locker room in terms of leading his team.
Off the bench elite.
He had elite character, and that matters.
Sixth man of the year.
To me, this was a 7-win team that underperformed last year.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they underperformed once they decided, hey, we weren't going to compete. Hey, we're going to move some of the pieces here. We're going to try to get some draft assets. But, I mean, I watched the Giants game. I watched the Washington game. I watched the Detroit game where they lost by 1 point. Yeah. Absolutely pitiful. To me, it was a 7-1 team that underperformed. Every team goes into the year thinking they're going to be able to win. This team over the last 3-4 years have found themselves at 3-3, 3-4 after 6 and 7 games. They're always there on the cusp, and they find a way to crap down their pant leg, or something bad happens to them, and they decide, okay, this is the direction you're going to go. Once you start getting the feeling that you're not in it in an NFL locker room, it's a terrible feeling. But then all of a sudden that manifests itself in the play on the field that is substandard. So they've got to get off to a good start, and they've got to believe in themselves so they can stay competitive throughout the year. That's all I think you can ask for out of this team at the state that they're in now. Right. Even a team in 2018 that did what they did, 12-4, I think, they were 3-3 after 6.
Yep.
That team was 3-3 after 6 and then ran off a bunch of victories in a row.
Yeah. The thing that and I'll stand on this is where I think the club's in good hands is Fields to me is a quarterback that is smart enough to understand that in this on the front end of my career, I'm probably going to be using my legs more. Yeah. But I'm going to develop into the passer that we need. That on the back end of my career, I'll use my arm more. You know, and that I believe is going to be one of the most dangerous tools to have as a quarterback. Just developing into a pure thrower. You know, out of being a runner. You know what I mean? And I think that's the longitude. That's what builds the W's versus Green Bay that we've been missing for so long.
Hey, this is going to be the Chicago Bears podcast, boys. Let's finish this thing out. Draft is coming up. One position. Give me the one position you take in the first round, no matter where we're picking. Let's start Lance and go around the room. Lance, one position, first round. What you take?
this is a tackle-heavy draft, and there's not a lot of interior guys. I know exactly what you said. I'm sorry, but you have to take a tackle. You have to take a tackle. You have to.
Offensive, defense.
Offensive
tackle.
D lineman, not enough sacks last year. I don't know the number, but I know it wasn't enough. You know, the elite teams in this league, they get pressure on the quarterback. Look at the 49ers. They take lineman after lineman, D lineman after lineman. We need to get another D lineman here.
I'd say if Jalen Carter's there at 9, I'd take Jalen Carter. I don't even think twice about it. If you trade down to 17 and get 32, also from the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you could find a way to get the kid from Clemson, Brees, and or Kalijah Cansey from Pittsburgh, either one of those two, I'd be happy getting one of those guys also.
Yep. You thinking about a little draft day situation? I want my picks back. You pancake eating. All right, boys, that's the Chicago Bears podcast. Appreciate you guys for showing love. Make sure that you guys hit that like button, subscribe over on the YouTube side, and that you leave a 5-star review on the podcast page. You're going to get this Monday through Friday, every single week of the year, nonstop Bears content. You're going to have Lance. You're going to have Jason. You're going to have Jurko. You're going to have Pat, the designer. As always, man, y'all stay safe out there, Chicago.
Bear down.
Bear down.